Hey everybody, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the Overland Vehicle Systems Expedition Truck Bed Cap fitting 2016 to 2023 Tacomas with the 5-foot bed. Now, truck bed caps are historically kinda boring, but they don't have to be. Overland Vehicle Systems has proven that with the Expedition Bed Cap we have here. This is an awesome modular bed cap that gives you security, versatility, and practicality in one solid and cool looking package. Now, when I think of a truck bed cap, I think of some of those old style fiberglass things with the bubble windows on the side and some hard to use twist latches in the back. But this is not your father's bed cap though. This is definitely not that. The Expedition cap is modular, so this can be adapted to fit pretty much whatever you need it to do. And even in the standard configuration that we have here, there are plenty of cool features. Now, also unlike a traditional bed cap, this can open on all sides. So this is going to give you plenty of access in addition to the coverage that it provides. Now, each hatch features solid hinges for durable, long-lasting, reliable performance, and you've got multiple keyed heavy-duty latches here. Now, these are all keyed alike right out of the box. You get a bunch of keys in the kit, but you only need to have one on you at any given time. This will work on all of them. Now, each hatch door also has high-pressure struts, as you can see, to help open them up nice and easy and keep them open. Now, this rear hatch door also has tempered glass on it, just like you'd find on the rest of your trucks, so this is shatter resistant. And there's even a panel behind it to help protect it in case you've got anything that's sliding around in here. The cap also includes a third brake light right up here at the top, and that's going to integrate into your factory unit, so you maintain that additional level of safety. You are going to have to wire that one in, but it's a couple of wires and you'll have it done. You're also going to find a built-in air vent way up top there that's going to help equalize pressure and temperature inside of the cap. So even if it's fully closed up, you're not going to have wildly different temperatures inside. Now, on top also, you're going to find integrated roof rails, and you can add crossbars for some additional flexibility. The rails with Overland Vehicle Systems' own crossbars can hold up to 750 pounds of static weight and 325 pounds of dynamic weight. So you can put up kayaks, a roof box, bikes, or even a roof tent without fear of anything giving way. You've also got the option to put molly panels or add some additional accessories to these side doors too. So this can do pretty much anything you can think of. The cap is made using marine grade stainless steel with a 2-stage textured powder coat finish over top. So this is going to ensure that the cap can withstand pretty much any kind of conditions, and it's going to look good doing it. Also included are 3M bulb seals all the way around. And these are going to go all the way around the perimeter and around the doors too. So this is going to help seal everything out and keep it nice and sealed up against weather and moisture and dirt and all that stuff. You've even got a big one right down here to seal against the top of the tailgate. Now, you're also provided with some additional pieces of butyl tape that are intended for use on the bulkhead near the cab for additional protection. Now, no bed cap is truly entirely waterproof, but the amount of intrusion that you're going to find with this one will be very minimal. So if you've got stuff back there that you want to keep out of the elements, this is going to do it for you. Now, this is also designed to be a clamp-on setup, so there's no need for drilling or other permanent modifications to the truck itself, and all the clamps and hardware that you need are included in the kit, making it a relatively simple installation. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, pricing is going to come in at about $2,800, so this is definitely a more premium option. Now, bed caps aren't cheap to begin with, but if you want that additional flexibility and protection like you're going to get here, you got to be willing to shell out the big bucks for it. Plus, if you're building a no-compromise off-road or overlanding rig, this is going to be a great choice for you because it will do everything you need to and then some. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, there is some assembly required, but it all goes together pretty quickly, and like I mentioned before, there are no permanent modifications needed to get this installed on the truck. You are going to have to do a little bit of wiring for that third brake light, but otherwise all the clamps and stuff that you need to get this on the truck are included in the kit. Now, you're also going to need a couple of hands to get this onto the truck, at least one friend, ideally a few more if you can. It is pretty hefty. But once you get them there, offer them some food and drink, you guys get this mounted up pretty quickly, and that's going to be that. So let's hop on into the install. We'll show you exactly what you've got to do.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a 13mm wrench, needle nose pliers, scissors or diagonal cutters, wire crimpers, Phillips head screwdriver, 4mm Allen wrench, some butt connectors, male spade connectors, and T-taps, 6mm Allen socket, and 10 and 13mm sockets.
What's up guys? Today we're installing a bed cap on our Tacoma, so let's get started. So to start out, I've got all of our main pieces laid out. we've got our two sides and then our rear and our front panel. Now the logo on the side pieces is going to go towards the rear to the piece with the third brake light on it. Now the rear piece has the best base that it can stand on its own weight. So I'm going to start by connecting our sides to the rear one, and then we'll slide our front piece over our two sides. We've got a few bolts that are going in each corner to bolt all of these together. So now with our back panel standing up, we're going to have to cut off these zip ties. There's one on each side. So take a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters and snip that. The rear window might come up. And then we'll slide our side panel up to the rear panel. And then we're going to take a bolt and slide that through the hole. You're going to have to lift up on the back piece a little bit to get it into that mounting hole. And then take a flat washer and a lock nut and thread it on. And then you're just going to do that same thing for the other 4 holes. And once we have all of these bolts installed, we can take a 13mm socket and wrench to tighten it all down. And then repeat that same process on the other side. So now we need to line up our side to our rear. I'm just gonna get a bolt in on each side to hold it for now, and then we can install the rest of the bolts. Get your bolt through. We're using the same hardware as the front. Bolt and flat washer on one side, flat washer and nut on the other. And then go ahead and do that on the other side to just get this thing stable, and then we'll install the rest of our bolts. So now with bolts holding it on both sides, we can install the rest of our bolts. Now once you have all of your bolts installed on both sides, you can tighten those down with a 13mm socket and wrench. And then do the same thing on the other side. Now next we can lay down our lid. So there's a shorter side and a longer side. Shorter side is going to the front and back. Now once we have our bolt holes lined up from our roof panel, we can grab our rails. We have 7 bolts that are going to be going through the rail, through the roof panel, and through the side panel, and then we'll get some hardware on the bottom side. Now you're going to be using a bolt and an O-ring. You're going to slide that rubber O-ring towards the base of the bolt, and then slide it through the hole in your rail. And then you can drop that through the hole and just do the same thing working across. So I'm getting all my O-rings onto the bolts first. And then we can just work on sliding them through the rail and through the roof. And then repeat that process for the other side. Now for all the holes on the front and rear, we're going to be using these Allen head bolts, and we have a rubber washer. It's going to act as a gasket here. So slide that rubber washer on, and then just drop all of your bolts into those holes and do the same thing on the back. So So now the next thing we need to do is install our weather seal around the bed rails. You're going to do it on the two sides and on the front. We've got double-sided tape on the back, so you're just going to peel the backing and lay it down. You're going to go the length of the rail. Now for demonstration purposes, we're not going to be installing this, so we're going to move on to lifting it up. But you're just going to get this right in the center from side to side of your bed rail. So now grab 3 of your strongest friends, everybody take a corner, and we'll lift this up onto the bed. Next, we can install the latch on our back panel. So you're going to remove this bolt from the hole there with that washer, and then go from the top, slide that piece in first, and then thread your bolt back into that hole. And then just take a 10mm socket and tighten that down. And then do the same thing on the other side. So next we can install this handle on our hatch here. So we've got a Phillips head screw with a lock washer, a flat washer, and a black O-ring that are going to be going through the inside here. And then we have this clear O-ring that's going to go on the outside, and then our handle. So I'm going to take our screw and put it through that hole, get the clear O-ring on top, and that'll hold it in place for now. While we do the same thing for the other hole. Get your O-ring on there. And then lay your handle down, line up your holes. Thread that in. Thread in your other screw. And then grab your Phillips head screwdriver and tighten those down. So now we can go underneath and put washers and nuts on all of the bolts that we stuck through the roof panel. I've got my buddy on the top holding those bolts down so they don't spin while I try to thread a nut on them. So now we're just working our way across the rear of the roof here. You're going to do the same exact thing for all 4 corners. And then we're just going to keep doing that same thing the rest of the way across. So now my buddy's got a 4mm Allen wrench on the top of the bolt on top in the center. And now I'm going to take a 10mm socket and tighten this down. And then he's going to go to the next one. And then back across. Then we're going to go across to the other one. And now repeat that same process for your other 3 sides. And next we're going to mount our cap down to the bed rails. So since we have our tracks here, we're going to be using these little nuts. So go ahead and pop the cap out of your rail, and you're going to slide in 3 of these per side. Just slide one all the way down towards the front, one's going to be towards the middle, and then one's going to be at the back. And then slide your cap back in, and then we're going to slide this one all the way to the end towards that cap. So now we can mount up our bracket to our rail. You have a bunch of different holes that you can use. Now I've already put the clamps on the other side, and I found that the 3rd hole from the top works well. So I'm going to slide my bolt in there, and then I'm going to thread it into that nut in the rail. And then I'm just going to hold this nice and straight and get a 6mm Allen socket, tighten that down. Now with that in place, we can get the other half of the clamp, and that's going to clamp this rail down to this bracket. So take your long bolt, put it through the hole, and thread it into the nut on the other side of the bracket. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to get these threaded in most of the way by hand because this is going to block my socket if these are sticking all the way out. And now I'm going to grab that 13mm socket and tighten these down. And then once you have them both snug, just go back and forth and tighten this down evenly. And do the same thing for the other two brackets on this side and the whole process for the brackets on the other side. Now the last thing we need to do is wire up our third brake light. So we're going to be tapping into the wires on our driver's side tail light. So grab a 10mm socket, we're going to remove this bolt and the one all the way at the bottom, and then just pull this straight out and disconnect our connectors. And then we just have 3 connectors here. Just press in on the tabs and pop them out. And then just set your tail light to the side. So now we're going to get our wiring all situated. The first thing we're going to do is crimp on our extension harness to the harness on the back of our third brake light. Now we do have different colors here, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put the red to the red, the yellow to the brown, and the blue to the white. I wrote it down so I won't forget which ones to splice into. The white and the blue is going to be a ground, the brown and the yellow is going to be a running light, and the 2 reds are going to be for the brake light. So I'm using quick connectors for this. So I'm going to pull back this sheath and then just slide one of these on. Make sure that the metal of the wire is touching the metal in the connector. And then just take a pair of wire crimpers and crimp down on that. And then just give it a little tug, make sure you have a good connection. And now we'll do that same thing with our white. Again, give it a good tug, make sure it's not going anywhere. And then you can grab your extension harness. Once again, I'm putting blue connected to that white ground. And then my yellow is going to my brown. And then the red to the red. So next, what the manufacturer recommends is that you drill a hole right in this area here to pass your wire through and into the taillight bucket. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to be drilling into the side of our bed. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to remove this plastic cover here by twisting those to pop it open. And I'm going to take my wire, I'm going to run it through one of the holes where those feet went. And then I can go under and fish it out and pull it up into our taillight bucket. So now just go underneath the bed and find your wires, and then we can pull them up and through the circle hole, and then we can get our wiring situated. So now we're just going to get all of our wires connected up to our factory harness. Now on the top connector, we're going to be using this green wire. That's going to be for our running lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a T-tap. This has a little metal fork that's going to go around the wire. So just put the wire down in the middle there, and then close this up and grab a pair of pliers to crimp that down. And that's going to cut into the wire so we can use a male spade connector to make our connection. Now on the middle connector, we have this blue wire and the white wire with the black stripe. The white wire with the black stripe is going to be our ground, and the blue wire is going to be our brakes. So we're going to come over here, we're going to crimp male spade connectors onto all 3 of these. Now on the blue and the white and black wire on our body harness, you can do the same thing, adding a T-tap. Our wires have been modified from a previous install, so we have a female spade connector, which is also going to work with our male spade connectors. So I'm going to start with my blue wire, just going to slide one of these male spades on, and then take my crimpers, crimp down on that, make sure I have a nice good connection. And I'm just going to do the same thing with the other 2. You might need to twist up your wire nice and tight if it's not sliding through that metal. Nice and tight there. Now those are all nice and tight, we can make our connections. So I'm going to start with my blue here, which is my ground, and that's going to my white wire on the harness.
I'm gonna connect that up. And then the blue wire on our harness is for the brakes, which we used our red connector for. So slide that in. And then we'll grab that green wire that we're gonna connect the yellow to. And then we'll just grab our tail light, plug this in, and slide it into place. And now we can plug in those 3 connectors to the back of our tail light, slide this into place, and reinstall our 2 bolts. Take your 10mm socket and tighten those down.
So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Overland Vehicle Systems Expedition Truck Bed Cap for your 2016 to 23 Tacoma with 5-foot bed. Thank you for watching, and for all things Tacoma, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.